Hi everyone, my name's Daniel, this here's James, and that's Allison. We make a web show called Extra Credits, but today we're here to do something a little out of the ordinary. We'd like to talk about a specific game company. We want to talk to you about Red 5, the guys working on Firefall. Over the last few weeks, we've spoken with, visited, and even campaigned against SOPA with members of their team. We really like these guys, and so we've decided that we want to do whatever we can to help them out. Now, don't misunderstand me. We're not here to endorse Firefall. I do have really high hopes for it, but I'll be honest, it's very ambitious. It is rife with design and development dangers that, with any less of a team, I'd wager against the project ever coming out. But, like I said, we like the guys at Red 5, and I would love to see their gamble pay off. If Red 5 fails, they'll have failed doing the right thing. So we've chosen to make a series of videos to try and explain both the game and the company behind it. So, why are we so interested in helping these guys out? First, it's the fact that Red 5 is committed to improving the free-to-play model. We've said several times on Extra Credits that free-to-play is really the ideal model for both the consumer and the developer, but only if done right. Most people today attach a stigma to free-to-play games because, well, a lot of them are shoddily done, rushed, or just plain poorly localized with the idea that they can grab a quick buck. Well, we've had a good look at Firefall, and yeah, it's a AAA game. They just happen to be releasing it for free. All the production value and the depth is there. They're focusing on a smaller initial content drop than most major MMOs that make you purchase the game up front, but for a game of this nature, I think that's actually the smart way to go. But we'll get more into that later. Our second reason for supporting this team is that they're dedicated to innovating. Dedicated in a way that would terrify most major publishers. These guys are trying to build an open-world MMO first-person shooter with tribe-style gameplay and a truly player-driven evolving storyline. You gotta hand it to them, it's certainly not a WoW clone. Of course, the problem with creating something that no one's ever really seen before is that it can be very hard to explain or market it. And when you're building a AAA MMO, that prospect is terrifying. But they're doing it anyway, and that takes some guts. And they may not pull it off. It might turn out the game sucks, and if that's what happens, then don't pay them a cent. It's free to play, you don't have to. But the game might not suck. It might actually turn out pretty awesome, and even break new ground for this medium. And I'll be darned if we let this game fail just because no one knows how to market it. So I mentioned earlier that Firefall would have player-driven story, and that could use further explanation, because to us it's one of the most exciting things about this game. James here has been doing the circuit of GDC, Login, and GDCO for the last few years, arguing that the future in MMO narrative isn't just trying to rip everything we know about single-player storytelling in RPGs and forcing it into an MMO environment. Instead, MMO storytelling should be about letting the community help to shape the narrative of their world. And whenever James talks about this, one of the stories he always tells is about an old collectible card game called The Legend of the Five Rings. I don't have time to tell the whole story here, but I highly recommend looking it up. What those guys managed to do with nothing but clipboards, some pen and paper, and a room full of players is still amazing. It's one of the coolest examples of community-driven storytelling in gaming history. So, imagine our surprise when we stopped by Red 5 Studios and ran into some of the main folks behind Legend of the Five Rings, who are now helping to design Firefall. Firefall will be story-driven, but not in the same way as an MMO like the Old Republic. You won't be seeing tons of dialogue options or moral choices, but you will be affecting the world. This world will be yours in a way that no other MMO world ever has been. This is totally uncharted territory, though, and it's going to be tough to pull off. But Red 5 seems like they've got the team and the desire to take on that challenge. Last, but certainly not least, we have to talk about the efforts of Mark Kern, Red 5 CEO, and the company as a whole to try to do what's right, even if it'll cost them money. Some of you may have seen the video we did with Mark a few months back, where we called for a boycott of E3 in order to get the ESA to stop supporting SOPA. Mark leapt at the chance to be a part of that video, and chose to withdraw Red 5 from E3 when doing so seemed like an enormous risk. That decision was going to cost them publicity, which they desperately needed. But they still did it, because he and many others at the company thought it was the right thing to do. More than that, they took the $50,000 they were planning to spend marketing Firefall at E3 and put it towards fighting SOPA. It's rare enough that you get to see a company stand on principle, and I would love to see those actions rewarded. Firefall might fail. It might be a disaster. It might be one of those games we all laugh about for years to come. But we would rather be part of that failure than part of the thousands safe, forgettable, middling successes that briefly grace the shelves each year. And if Firefall doesn't fail, if they manage to do what they're setting out to, then they're going to break some exciting new ground for gaming. They'll get the entire industry to rethink what free-to-play means, and open up new areas of design for others to run with. So, over the coming months, expect to see a few more of these from us, trying to break down some of the innovations they're attempting to deliver, and helping to communicate this radical project they're engaged in. Thank you for your attention, and to everybody at Red 5, good luck. We're rooting for you.